The night sky over Epsilon 7 burned with colors that didn't belong there. G1 stood outside the atmospheric processor, watching streaks of fire tear through the darkness. Something was falling from orbit, and it was coming down fast. He should have stayed inside. Colony protocol was clear about unidentified objects. Report it to headquarters and let them handle it. But headquarters was 3 days away by communication relay, and whatever was falling would hit the surface in minutes. G1 grabbed his emergency pack and started running toward the Crystal Valleys. The mining colony was almost empty these days. Most workers had left when the corporation decided Epsilon 7 wasn't profitable anymore. Only a handful remained, maintaining the equipment until the final shutdown order came. G1 was one of them. He had nowhere else to go, no reason to return to Earth, no family waiting for him. This forgotten rock at the edge of explored space suited him fine. The crashed vessel had carved a burning path through the crystalline formations. G1 found it buried in a field of shattered blue crystal, still smoking from atmospheric entry. The ship was beautiful, even in its ruined state. Smooth curves, metal that seemed to shift colors in the dim light. Technology far beyond anything humans had developed. This was an alien craft. G1 approached carefully. The hull had cracked open on impact, exposing the interior. Emergency lights flickered inside, casting strange shadows. He climbed through the breach, his boots crunching on broken equipment. The cockpit was small, designed for a single pilot. And there she was. The alien girl was pinned beneath a collapsed support beam. Her skin had a faint crystalline quality, almost translucent, with patterns of light moving beneath the surface like bioluminescent veins. Her hair was long and black, very human-like, but her eyes were larger, with pupils that reflected light like a cat's. Blood pooled around her, but it wasn't red. It glowed with a soft blue luminescence that pulsed with her failing heartbeat. She was dying. Her eyes focused on G1, and she spoke. The words came out in a language he didn't know, but the translator chip in his ear worked quickly. "Human," she said, her voice weak. "You should not be here." "Leave me." "Not happening," G1 said. He moved to the support beam and tried to lift it. The metal wouldn't budge. He grabbed a piece of broken equipment and used it as a lever. The beam shifted slightly, and the girl cried out in pain. "Stop," she gasped. "It doesn't matter. I'm already dead. Our species are incompatible. Your medicine cannot help me. There is nothing on this world that can save Avelian." G1 ignored her. He finally got the beam off her and pulled her free. Her injuries were severe. Deep cuts across her torso, broken bones, internal damage he couldn't even assess. The glowing blood was everywhere, and it was fading. The light in her veins was dimming. He carried her out of the wreckage and laid her on the ground. His medical scanner confirmed what she'd said. Her biology was completely foreign. The medications in his emergency kit were useless. Even if he got her to the colony's medical bay, there was nothing there that could help. But G1 had heard stories. Rumors from the frontier colonies, whispered tales in station bars. Human blood was different. Something about Earth's brutal evolutionary history had made human biology unusually resilient. There were reports, unconfirmed and dismissed by most scientists, of human blood saving aliens in impossible situations. The girl's breathing was becoming shallow. Her eyes were losing focus. G1 made his decision. He pulled out his survival knife and cut open his palm. The pain was sharp, but he ignored it. He grabbed the emergency medical kit and found the transfusion tube. It wasn't meant for this, wasn't designed for cross-species use, but it was all he had. "What are you doing?" The girl whispered, her eyes widening. "Saving your life," G1 said. He connected the tube to his bleeding hand and searched for a vein in her arm. Her blood vessels were in different places than a human's, but he found one that looked right. "No," she said. "Human blood is toxic to us. It will kill me faster." "You're already dying," Ji-won said. "At least this gives you a chance." He inserted the needle, and his blood began flowing into her veins. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her body went rigid. Her back arched and she screamed. The crystalline patterns under her skin flared with brilliant light, far brighter than before. Her muscles spasmed violently. Ji-won held her down, terrified that he'd just killed her. The convulsions continued for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Then, suddenly, she went still. The light beneath her skin had changed. It was no longer just blue. Red streaks moved through it now, mixing with the blue in patterns that pulsed and swirled. Her breathing steadied. The wounds on her torso began to close, tissue knitting together at a visible rate. Ji-won watched in amazement as her broken bones realigned themselves, as deep cuts sealed shut. As the color returned to her face, she opened her eyes and looked at him. "What did you do to me?" she whispered. "I don't know," Ji-won admitted. His own hand had stopped bleeding, the cut already scabbing over. "But you're alive." She sat up slowly, looking at her hands, watching the strange new patterns of light moving under her skin. "I can feel it," she said. "Your blood. It's changing me. This shouldn't be possible." "A lot of impossible things just happened," Ji-won said. He stood and offered her his hand. "Can you walk?" She took his hand and stood. She was steady on her feet, stronger than she should have been after such severe injuries. "My name is Nari," she said. "I am a pilot of the Volian Empire, and I should not have survived this day." "Ji-won," he replied. "Engineer. And we need to get you somewhere safe." That crash was visible for hundreds of kilometers. "If there's anyone looking for you, they'll be here soon." Nari looked back at the wreckage of her ship. "They are looking for me," she said quietly, "but not to rescue me. I discovered something I shouldn't have. They shut me down to keep me silent." "Then we definitely need to move," Ji-won said. He started walking toward the colony, and Nari followed. She moved easily, with no sign of the injuries that had been killing her just minutes ago. As they walked through the crystal valleys, Nari kept looking at her hands, at the red and blue light swirling beneath her skin. "What are you people?" she asked. "What kind of species has blood that can do this?" Ji-won thought about Earth, about the countless extinctions and ice ages and plagues that had shaped humanity. "Survivors," he said. "We're survivors." Behind them, the wreckage of the Velian ship continued to burn, sending smoke into the alien sky. Above them, stars watched in silence. Neither of them knew it yet, but the galaxy was about to change forever. All because one human had refused to let someone die alone in the dark. Ji-won's hab unit was small and cluttered with repair equipment. It had been designed for temporary worker housing, not comfort. One main room served as bedroom, kitchen, and workshop. A tiny bathroom was attached to the side. It wasn't much, but it was private and off the colony's main sensor grid. Nari sat on the edge of the bed, still staring at her transformed body. 3 days had passed since the crash, and the changes were becoming more pronounced. The bioluminescent patterns beneath her skin had fully integrated the red tones of human blood. Her veins now glowed with purple light where red and blue mixed together. "You need to eat something," Ji-won said, offering her a ration pack. Nari shook her head. "Velians cannot process human food. Our digestive systems are completely different." "Try it anyway," Ji-won said. "Everything else about you has changed." Nari hesitated, then took the pack. She opened it and sniffed the contents cautiously. It was just basic protein paste, standard colony fare, nothing special. She took a small bite and waited for the nausea that should come. it didn't. Instead, she felt hunger, real hunger, for the first time in days. She ate the entire pack in minutes. "This is impossible," she said. "My body is adapting to human conditions. The atmospheric processors in this unit are set for human standards. The air should be toxic to me, or at least uncomfortable. But I'm breathing normally." Ji-won sat down across from her. "Tell me what you remember about the crash. Why were you running?" Nari was quiet for a long moment. Then she started talking. "I am part of the Velian Fifth Fleet, assigned to deep space reconnaissance. 3 months ago, my squadron was doing routine patrol near the boundary of human space. We detected unusual transmissions, encrypted military channels. I shouldn't have investigated, but I was curious." She stood and paced the small room. "I broke the encryption. What I found was a proposal from the Velian High Command to the Science Ministry. They wanted authorization to begin capturing human colonists for biological research. The proposal called humans a strategic resource, not a partner species." Ji-won felt cold anger settling into his chest. "They want to harvest us." "Yes," Nari said. "The proposal detailed how human biology is unique in the galaxy. Your adaptability, your healing factor, your resistance to disease. They believe that if they can extract and replicate these traits, they can enhance Velian soldiers, extend our lifespans, strengthen our entire species. And you tried to report this?" "I sent the data to my commander. He told me to delete it and forget what I'd seen. When I refused, when I said I would take it to the Galactic Assembly, they declared me a traitor. I ran. I barely made it to Slipstream before they opened fire. My ship was damaged, and I couldn't control the exit point. I ended up here, in the middle of nowhere, with a human colony as my only hope. Some hope I turned out to be," Ji-won said with a bitter smile. "I probably made things worse." "You saved my life," Nari said firmly. She sat back down, closer to him this time. "And you've given me something I never had before. What's that?" "A chance to prove them wrong. The Velian Empire sees humans as lesser beings, primitive creatures who stumbled into space travel. But you saved a Velian noble with your blood. You gave me your life force without hesitation, without asking for anything in return. That is not the action of a primitive species." Ji-won looked away. "I'm not special. Any human would have done the same." "That's exactly my point," Nari said. "Your entire species values individual life over protocol, compassion over efficiency. We Velians have lost that. We are so focused on purity, on maintaining our bloodlines and social hierarchies, that we've forgotten what it means to simply help someone in need." That night, Nari woke screaming. Ji-won rushed to her side and found her sitting up in bed, trembling. "What happened?" he asked. "I saw your memories," she gasped. "I was inside your mind. I saw Earth, a city by the ocean, a woman with your eyes. You a mother. I felt your pain when she died. I felt everything." Ji-won stepped back, shocked. "That's not possible." "The blood," Nari said. "It's not just changing my body. It's creating some kind of connection between us. I can feel your emotions, see fragments of your past. It's fading now, but for a moment, I was you." Over the following days, the connection grew stronger. Nari began to understand things about Ji-won without being told. She knew why he'd left Earth, running from a life that had fallen apart after his mother's death. She knew about the guilt he carried, the feeling that he'd abandoned his responsibilities to hide in the frontier colonies, and Ji-won began to feel things from Nari as well. Not memories exactly, but impressions. The weight of noble expectations, the pressure to maintain honor, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who cared only about bloodlines and status. She'd been trapped in a gilded cage, and the crash had been her escape as much as her disaster. "Does it bother you?" Nari asked one evening. "Knowing that I can feel what you feel?" Jiwon thought about it. It should, he admitted. But it doesn't. For the first time in years, I don't feel alone. Nari smiled. It was a beautiful smile, one that made her crystalline features seem warm instead of alien. Neither do I. But their peace couldn't last. On the 7th day, the colony's long-range sensors detected ships entering the system. 3 Velian cruisers moving in formation, heading directly for Epsilon-7.G1, pulled up the sensor data on his terminal. Military vessels. They're not even trying to hide their approach. Nari looked at the display, and her expression darkened. The lead ship is the Bright Sword. That's Commander Hyuk's vessel. He's the one who shot me down. Will they try to negotiate? No, Nari said. Hyuk doesn't negotiate. He eliminates problems. If he's here, it's to make sure I never reach the Galactic Assembly. And he'll destroy this entire colony if that's what it takes. Jiwon started packing emergency supplies. Then we need to disappear. The old mining tunnels extend for kilometers beneath the crystal valleys. They're unstable and unmapped. Perfect place to hide. You would run with me? Nari asked. If you turn me over to them, they might leave the colony alone. Jiwon stopped packing and looked at her directly. I didn't save your life just to hand you over to the people trying to kill you. We're in this together now. Nari felt the truth of his words through their strange connection. There was no deception, no hidden agenda. This human was willing to risk everything for her. Not because of duty or honor or political advantage, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Thank you, she said quietly. They gathered what supplies they could carry and slipped out of the HAB unit under cover of darkness. The crystal valleys glowed with natural luminescence, providing just enough light to navigate by. Behind them, the colony's lights were beginning to come online as other workers woke to start their shifts. By the time the Velian strike team landed, Jiwon and Nari were already deep in the abandoned tunnels, surrounded by crystals that sang softly in the underground currents of air. Above them, Commander Hyuk was organizing a hunt. Below, in the darkness, a human and a transformed Velian prepared to fight for their lives, and in Nari's veins, human and alien blood mixed and swirled, creating something entirely new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Hyuk stood in the center of Epsilon 7's main plaza, surrounded by his strike team. He was tall for a Velian, with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. His uniform was perfect, his posture rigid with military discipline. He looked at the assembled colonists with barely concealed disgust. We are searching for a criminal, he announced. A traitor to the Velian Empire who crashed somewhere in this region. Anyone with information will be rewarded. Anyone who harbors this criminal will be executed. The colonists shifted nervously. There were only 15 of them left on the entire planet. They were maintenance workers and engineers, not soldiers. They wanted nothing to do with Velian military politics. The colony administrator, an older woman named Borum, stepped forward. We've detected no crash sites, Commander. Our sensors would have picked up something that's significant. Hyuk smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Your sensors are primitive. My ship detected the crash 7 days ago. The traitor is here, and you will help me find her. In the crystal tunnels below, Jiwon and Nari heard the announcement through the communication relay. They were 3 kilometers deep, in a section of the mines that had been abandoned 20 years ago. The crystals here grew wild, creating formations that looked like frozen waterfalls and twisted spires. He's going to search the entire colony, Nari said. And when he doesn't find me there, he'll expand the search to the surrounding areas. These tunnels go on forever, Jiwon said. It would take months to search them all. He has time, Nari replied. And he has equipment. Thermal scanners, biosignature detectors, seismic sensors. Eventually, he'll find us. They moved deeper into the tunnel system. The air grew colder, and the crystals became larger. Some of them were bigger than buildings, glowing with internal light that pulsed like a heartbeat. It would have been beautiful if they weren't running for their lives. Nari stopped suddenly, grabbing Jiwan's arm. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Footsteps. Someone is following us." They hid behind a crystal formation and waited. A few minutes later, a figure appeared, moving cautiously through the tunnel. It was a woman in a colony environmental suit, older, with gray hair tied back in a practical bun. She was carrying a medical scanner and a datapad. "You can come out," the woman called. "I'm out with the Velian military. My name is Dr. Mina. I've been studying this colony's xenobiology research for the past 3 years." Jiwan and Nari exchanged glances, then stepped out from their hiding place. Dr. Mina's eyes widened when she saw Nari. "Extraordinary," she whispered. "The readings I've been detecting make sense now. You're the source. What readings?" Nari asked. Dr. Mina held up her scanner. 3 days ago, I detected an unprecedented biological event. 2 different genetic signatures merging, creating something entirely new. I thought it was a sensor malfunction. But you're real. A human-Velian hybrid. "I'm not a hybrid," Nari said defensively. "I'm still Velian." "No," Dr. Mina said gently. "You're not. Not anymore. Look at this." She showed them the scanner display. "Your cellular structure has fundamentally changed. Human DNA has integrated into your Velian cells. You're rewriting yourself at a genetic level." Jiwan felt sick. "What have I done to her?" "You've saved her," Dr. Mina said. "But you've also created something the galaxy has never seen. Do you understand what this means? For centuries, we believed that different species couldn't share genetic material. Cross-species biology was considered impossible. But human blood is different. Why?" Nari asked. "What makes humans special?" Dr. Mina sat down on a crystal outcropping and pulled up data on her pad. Earth is a death world. Not as extreme as some, but brutal by galactic standards. Humans evolved in an environment with constant disease, predation, climate catastrophes, mass extinctions. Your immune systems had to become incredibly aggressive. Your cells learned to adapt or die. She showed them genetic comparisons. "Look at this. Human DNA has remnants of viruses, bacteria, even extinct species woven into it. You're genetic survivors, carrying the information of every plague and catastrophe your ancestors endured. That information is coded into your blood. And when my blood entered Nari's body," Jiwan said slowly, "it started sharing that information with her cells." "Exactly," Dr. Mina said. Her Velian biology recognized the adaptive advantages and began incorporating them. She's not just healing. She's evolving in real time. Nari looked at her hands again, watching the red and blue light swirl beneath her skin. "What will happen to me?" "I don't know," Dr. Mina admitted. "This has never happened before. But I can tell you what's already changed. You can breathe human atmosphere. You can eat human food. Your muscle density has increased by 30%. Your healing rate is 10 times faster than a normal Velian. You're stronger, more resilient, more adaptable." "And the memories?" Nari asked. "I've been seeing Jiwan's past, feeling his emotions." Dr. Mina's eyes widened. "A psychic connection. That's even more remarkable. It suggests the integration goes beyond physical biology into neurological pathways. You're not just sharing genetics. You're sharing consciousness." "This is what they wanted," Nari said quietly. "The Velian High Command. They want to harvest humans to enhance our species. But they plan to do it through force, through experimentation. They never considered that it could happen naturally, through an act of compassion. They can never know about this," Dr. Mina said urgently. If the Velian Empire discovers that voluntary transfusion can create this kind of enhancement, they'll declare war on humanity. They'll harvest your entire species to create super soldiers. Then what do we do? G1 asked. Dr. Mina thought for a moment. We get you off this planet. We get you to the Galactic Assembly. You expose the conspiracy, but you also become proof that human-alien cooperation is possible. You show them that enhancement through violence isn't necessary. How? Nari asked. My ship is destroyed, and there are no other vessels on this planet capable of interstellar travel. Not true, Dr. Mina said with a slight smile. The colony has a mothballed transport in the old hangar. It was supposed to be scrapped years ago, but the corporation never sent the salvage crew. It's old, barely functional, but with the right parts from your crashed ship, we might be able to make it work. That's a long shot, Jiwan said. It's the only shot we have, Dr. Mina replied. Commander Hyuk is systematic. He'll search the colony first, then the immediate surroundings, then expand outward. We have maybe 3 days before he reaches these tunnels. If we're going to move, it has to be now. They started making their way toward the old hangar, which was located on the far side of the colony. Dr. Mina led them through tunnel passages that weren't on any official map. Routes she'd discovered during her research. As they walked, Nari felt something new happening inside her. It was like her senses were expanding. She could hear the footsteps of Hyuk's soldiers on the surface, kilometers above them. She could feel the vibrations in the crystal formations, reading them like a map. She could even sense danger approaching before it arrived. Stop, she said suddenly. There's someone ahead. 3 people, armed, moving toward us. Jiwan and Dr. Mina froze. A moment later, they heard voices echoing through the tunnels. Velian soldiers searching the upper levels. How did you know? Dr. Mina whispered. I felt them, Nari said. Through the crystals, through the air. I don't know how to explain it. Another adaptation, Dr. Mina said with wonder. You're developing enhanced sensory perception. They found another route and continued toward the hangar. But Nari knew their time was running out. Hyuk was getting closer, and with every hour that passed, the hunt was tightening around them. Above ground, Commander Hyuk stood in G1's abandoned hab unit, looking at the medical supplies scattered on the floor. He picked up the transfusion tube and examined it carefully. There was dried blood on it, both red and blue. Interesting, he said. He turned to his second officer. Find the human engineer named G1. Find him now. And search every tunnel, every cave, every crevice on this worthless planet. The traitor is here, and she's not alone. The hunt had truly begun. The old hangar sat at the edge of the colony like a forgotten monument. It was a massive structure, built during the early days when the corporation thought Epsilon 7 would become a major mining hub. Now it was empty except for one ship, the Meridian, a bulk transport that hadn't flown in 15 years. G1 stood beneath the ship and felt his hope drain away. The hull was covered in rust and crystal growth. One of the engine pods was missing entirely. The cargo bay doors hung open like a broken jaw. This thing will never fly, he said. Dr. Mina climbed up the access ladder and disappeared into the ship. Her voice echoed back down. The main systems are intact. The reactor core is still functional. We just need to repair the engine pod and replace the navigation computer. With what? G1 asked. We don't have spare parts for a ship this old. We have my ship, Nari said. She was standing near the hangar entrance, keeping watch. Her enhanced senses had proven invaluable. She could hear Hyuk's soldiers moving through the colony, searching hab units and storage facilities. The engine technology is compatible. We can salvage what we need from the crash site. That's exposed ground, G1 said. Hyuk's team will see us. Then we'll have to be fast, Dr. Mina said, climbing back down. I'll create a distraction. Get them focused on the wrong part of the colony, while you two salvage the parts we need. They worked through the night. Dr. Mina triggered false sensor readings in the eastern crystal valleys, sending Hyuk soldiers running toward phantom signals. While they were distracted, Jiwon and Nari returned to the crash site. The wreckage looked different in the darkness. The crystals around it had begun growing through the broken hull, as if the planet was slowly consuming the alien technology. Nari felt a pang of sadness looking at it. This ship had been her home, her sanctuary. Now it was just scrap metal. The navigation computer is in the forward section, she said. The engine components we need are in the rear. We'll split up. Bad idea, Jiwon said. If something goes wrong, we should be together. Nari smiled. Through their connection, she could feel his worry for her safety. I'm not the fragile alien you saved anymore, she said. I'm stronger now, faster. I can handle this. She was right. Jiwon had watched her change over the past days. She moved with a grace and power that no pure Velian possessed. The human blood hadn't made her less Velian. It had made her more than either species alone. They split up and began salvaging. Jiwon worked on removing the navigation computer, a delicate task that required cutting through fused metal. Nari climbed into the damaged engine section and began extracting the power coupling. That's when the searchlights hit them. Hyuk's soldiers had circled back, cutting short their search in the east. Now they stood at the perimeter of the crash site, weapons raised. 6 soldiers, all heavily armed, all trained killers. Step away from the wreckage. The lead soldier commanded. G1 raised his hand slowly. But Nari didn't move. She stood in the exposed engine section, holding the power coupling, and looked at the soldiers with something like pity. You don't have to do this, she said. Whatever Hyuk told you, whatever lies he fed you, I'm not your enemy. You're a traitor, the soldier said. You betrayed the Empire. You betrayed your bloodline. You betrayed everything we stand for. I discovered a conspiracy to commit genocide against another species, Nari said. That's not betrayal. That's doing the right thing. The High Command decides what's right, the soldier replied. Not you. Now surrender, or we will open fire. Nari looked at Jiwon. Through their connection, she felt his fear, his anger, his desperate desire to protect her. She felt the same way about him. This human who had given her everything, who had changed her life, who had shown her what true compassion meant. She made her choice. Nari dropped the power coupling and moved. She was fast, impossibly fast, her hybrid body responding with speed that shocked even her. She crossed the distance to the nearest soldier in less than a second, disarmed him, and used his weapon to disable the others. The soldiers fell back, stunned. They had never seen anything move like that. One of them fired, a plasma bolt that should have killed her. Nari dodged it easily, reading the soldier's intent through tiny muscle movements. Through the tension in his trigger finger, she disabled all 6 soldiers in under 30 seconds, leaving them alive but unconscious. Jiwon stared at her in amazement. How did you do that? I don't know, Nari said, looking at her hands. They were trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the rush of power. I just knew what they were going to do before they did it. I could read their bodies, their intentions. It was like fighting in slow motion. Another adaptation, Jiwon said. You're developing combat abilities. They grabbed the salvaged parts and ran back to the hangar. Dr. Mina was waiting for them, and her face was pale. Hyuk knows you're here, she said. He's mobilizing his entire strike team. They'll be at the hangar in less than an hour. They worked frantically, installing the navigation computer, connecting the power coupling, running system checks. The Meridian groaned and shuddered as power flowed through circuits that hadn't been used in years. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "The reactor is unstable," Dr. Mina said. "It might hold long enough to get you into orbit. Or it might explode the moment we fire the engines. Those are better odds than we have if we stay," Ji-Wan said. They heard weapons fire outside. Hyuk's soldiers had reached the hangar. The main doors shuddered under sustained assault. "Get to the ship," Dr. Mina said. "I'll buy you time." "You're coming with us," Nari said. "No," Dr. Mina said firmly. "Someone needs to stay behind and document what happened here. Someone needs to make sure the truth about human-Velian symbiosis reaches the scientific community. I'll smuggle my research to colleagues off-world. You two need to reach the Galactic Assembly." The hangar doors exploded inward. Hyuk strode through the smoke, flanked by a dozen soldiers. He saw Nari and his expression twisted with rage. "You," he said. "You abomination. You've contaminated yourself with human filth." "I've enhanced myself with human strength," Nari replied. "And it's made me better than you'll ever be." Hyuk raised his weapon. "Then I'll have to study your corpse instead." Ji-Wan pulled Nari toward the ship. "We need to go, now." But Nari pulled away from him. "He'll kill Dr. Mina. He'll destroy the research." "I can't let that happen." "You can't fight all of them," Ji-Wan said. Nari looked at him with eyes that glowed with red and blue light. "Watch me." She launched herself at Hyuk's soldiers with a fury that terrified them. She moved like something from a nightmare, dodging plasma bolts, disarming soldiers, fighting with a combination of Velian grace and human aggression that no pure warrior could match. Hyuk watched in horror as his elite team fell before her. This wasn't possible. A single Velian, even a trained one, couldn't fight like this. But she wasn't just Velian anymore. "What have you become?" Hyuk whispered. "The future," Nari said. She reached him and they fought hand to hand. Hyuk was a master combatant, trained from childhood in Velian martial arts. But Nari had something he didn't. She had human resilience, human adaptability, human refusal to quit, even when the odds were impossible. She beat him. Not easily, but decisively. Hyuk fell to his knees, his weapon shattered, his pride broken. "Kill me," he said. "I won't live with this shame." "No," Nari said. "You're going to live. And you're going to tell the Empire what you saw here. You're going to tell them that humans are not resources to be harvested. We're partners. And together, we're stronger than any pure bloodline." She turned and ran for the ship. Ji-Wan was already in the pilot's seat, running the startup sequence. Dr. Mina stood at the bottom of the loading ramp. "Go," she said. "Make this mean something." Nari grabbed her in a brief, fierce hug. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." The ramp closed. The engines screamed to life. The Meridian lifted off on pillars of fire and punched through the hangar roof, scattering debris across the colony. Hyuk watched the ship climb into the sky, burning bright against the stars. He had failed. The traitor was escaping. But worse than that, he had seen the truth. Human and Velian could merge. They could create something new, something powerful, something that threatened the entire foundation of the Empire's pure bloodline doctrine. He activated his communicator. "This is Commander Hyuk. I'm declaring a Code Omega situation. The human species represents an immediate threat to Imperial security. Recommend full military mobilization." In orbit, the Meridian's engines flared as it jumped to slipstream. Inside, Ji-Wan and Nari held onto their seats as the ship shook violently. Alarms blared. The reactor was failing. "We're not going to make it," Ji-Wan said. Nari grabbed his hand. "Yes, we are. We've come too far to fail now." Through their connection, their minds touched. And in that moment, they weren't two separate beings anymore. They were one, human and Velian, working together to keep the dying ship alive. The meridian stabilized. The alarms quieted. Against all odds, they were flying true. Ahead of them lay the Galactic Assembly, and beyond that, the future. The Galactic Assembly Station hung in neutral space like a massive crystal flower. Ships from 100 different species docked at its petals, bringing representatives from across the known galaxy. It was a place of diplomacy, of careful words and political maneuvering. It was the last place anyone expected a war to start. The Meridian limped into docking bay 712, trailing smoke and sparks. G1 managed to land the dying ship just before the reactor finally gave out. They sat in the cockpit for a moment, both of them realizing they'd actually made it. "We're here," Nari said quietly. "Now what?" "Now we tell the truth," G1 replied. But the truth was already spreading. In the 3 months it had taken them to reach the assembly, word of Nari's transformation had leaked. Dr. Mina had kept her promise, smuggling research data to xenobiologists across the galaxy. Scientists were debating the implications. Politicians were panicking. Military leaders were calculating advantages. When G1 and Nari stepped off the Meridian, they were met by a security team and a delegation of assembly representatives. At the head of the delegation was a human woman in formal diplomatic robes. Ambassador Soman, Earth's representative to the Galactic Assembly. "You've caused quite a stir," Soman said. She looked at Nari with scientific interest and political calculation. A human-Velian hybrid. The first confirmed case of cross-species genetic integration. "Do you have any idea how many governments want to study you?" "I'm not a specimen," Nari said firmly. "I'm a person, and I have information that the assembly needs to hear." They were taken to a secure conference room, away from the main assembly chambers. Soman listened as Nari explained everything. The conspiracy she'd uncovered. The plan to harvest humans for biological research, Commander Hughes' pursuit. The transfusion that had saved and changed her. When she finished, Soman was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "This is an act of war. If the Velian Empire has authorized the capture and experimentation of human citizens, Earth will respond with force." "That's exactly what we're trying to prevent," G1 said. "War won't solve this. It'll just give both sides an excuse to do terrible things to each other." "Then, what do you propose?" Soman asked. Before they could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The massive view screens in the conference room lit up, showing the space surrounding the assembly. Ships were dropping out of slipstream. Dozens of them. Hundreds. A full Velian battle fleet. Surrounding the neutral station in a clear act of intimidation. A communication request came through. Soman accepted it, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It was a Velian admiral, ancient and decorated, speaking from the bridge of a massive warship. "Galactic Assembly," the admiral said. "The Velian Empire demands the immediate extradition of the criminal Nari and the human accomplice, G1. They are wanted for theft of military secrets and genetic contamination. If they are not surrendered within 1 standard hour, we will consider it an act of war." The room erupted into chaos. Assembly representatives from different species started arguing. Some demanded that Nari and G1 be handed over to prevent conflict. Others insisted that surrendering to military threats would set a dangerous precedent. Soman silenced them with a sharp gesture. She looked at the Velian admiral with cold eyes. "The Galactic Assembly does not respond to ultimatums. And I have a counter-proposal for you, Admiral. Leave our space immediately, or I will share with this entire assembly the evidence we have of your empire's plan to commit genocide against the human species." The Admiral's expression didn't change. "You have no such evidence." Nari stepped forward into the holographic projections view. I am the evidence. I discovered your conspiracy. I have the data files. I have the authorization codes. I have the names of every high command member who signed off on the human harvesting program. And I'm prepared to share all of it. The Admiral stared at her, and for the first time, his composure cracked. You're an abomination, he said. You've polluted yourself with human biology. You're no longer Velian. You're right, Nari said. I'm not Velian anymore. I'm something new. I'm proof that different species can work together, can enhance each other, can create something better than either alone. And that terrifies you, doesn't it? Because if one Velian can voluntarily merge with a human and become stronger, what does that say about your precious doctrine of bloodline purity? The Admiral cut the communication, but the damage was done. Every species in the assembly had heard Nari's words. The secret was out. Over the next week, the political maneuvering was intense. The Velian delegation demanded that Nari's transformation be declared illegal, a violation of natural law. Earth's delegation countered by releasing all the evidence of the harvesting program, forcing the Velians to defend plans that horrified most of the galaxy's species. Other species began sharing their own stories. Reports of Velian scientists requesting biological samples under false pretenses. Disappearances of colonists near Velian space. Research programs that had been shut down when they got too close to the truth about human biology. The assembly was forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. Humanity was different. Human genetic adaptability was unique in the galaxy. And that uniqueness made humans either incredibly valuable partners or dangerous resources to be exploited. The debate came to a head in the main assembly chamber. Representatives from every major species attended. The Velian delegation argued that human biology represented a security threat, that controls needed to be placed on human expansion and genetic material. Then Soman made her move. She stood before the assembly and made a proposal that shocked everyone. The Velian Empire is right about one thing, she said. Human biology is unique. Our evolutionary history on Earth has given us advantages that other species don't have. We could try to keep this secret, to hide what we are. But that would just lead to conflict, to species trying to take by force what we could share freely. She gestured to Nari, who stood beside Jiwan at the edge of the chamber. This young woman is proof that voluntary symbiosis is possible. She chose to accept human blood. She chose to transform. And she became stronger, more capable, more than she was before. Imagine what we could achieve if all species had this choice. We propose the Mercy Protocol, Soman continued. A treaty that allows voluntary genetic exchange between compatible species, regulated by the Assembly, supervised by xenobiologists, available to anyone who wants it. Not forced, not stolen, freely given. The Velian delegation erupted in protest. This is an abomination. It will destroy the purity of every species. Or it will save us, Soman replied. How many species in this chamber are struggling with genetic diseases? How many are facing extinction due to low birth rates or environmental changes? How many could benefit from increased adaptability, enhanced healing, stronger immune systems? She looked directly at the Velian ambassador. You can try to take what you want by force. You can declare war on humanity and every other species that accepts this proposal. Or you can join us. You can participate in the most significant evolutionary leap the galaxy has ever seen. The vote took 3 days. In the end, the Mercy Protocol passed with a narrow majority. Not every species agreed. Some, like the Volians, voted against it and withdrew from the assembly in protest. But enough species saw the potential, saw the promise, that the proposal became law. Humanity was granted full sovereignty and protection. Any attempt to harvest human genetic material by force would be considered an act of war against the entire assembly. But humans would also share their biology freely with any species that wanted it. Under strict medical supervision, Nari and Jiwan watched the vote from the observation deck. When the final count came in, Nari felt tears on her face. She had done it. She had turned a conspiracy into cooperation, fear into hope. "What will you do now?" Jiwan asked. Nari looked at him, at this human who had saved her life and changed the galaxy. Through their connection, she felt his emotions: love, pride, hope for the future. "The Velian Empire offered to cure me," she said. "They said they could reverse the transformation, make me pure Velian again. They said they would restore my noble title and welcome me back if I denounced humanity. What did you tell them?" "I told them I am not contaminated. I am evolved." She took his hand. "I told them I am the first of a new species, neither human nor Velian, both and more. And I will spend the rest of my life helping others make the same choice I made." 3 months later, a research station opened in neutral space. The Crossroads, they called it. A place where species could come to study symbiosis, to undergo voluntary transformation, to become more than they were. Nari led the research team. Jiwan managed the engineering and logistics. Scientists from across the galaxy came to study the phenomenon, to understand how human and alien biology could merge so completely. The first volunteer was a Velian scientist who had been dying of a genetic disease. The transformation saved his life and gave him decades more to live. The second was a human colonist who wanted to survive on a high-gravity world. The symbiosis gave her the bone density and muscle strength she needed. Word spread. More volunteers came. Slowly, carefully, supervised by the best xenobiologists in the galaxy, the Mercy Protocol began changing the face of galactic civilization.